My name is Andreas Rein. I'm flow maker, flight levels guide and author. So I want to introduce you to my book, which is called Steampunk Economy, Steam Engine to the Moon. And what steam engines have to do with, well, space travel and what steampunk has to do with economy is something I want to tell you in just a few slides to share some thoughts regarding my ideas. Let's take a look at the perfect world. Imagine you have 4 teams. Each team consists of 5 people and they have to shoot on a target with a crossbow. Alright, let them shoot. So the first pattern we find after the first team shot at the target might look like this. This is pretty much what we expect. This is the way we want the team to perform. This is going to be our benchmark. This is what other teams have to compare against when we talk about them. So let's take a look at the second team. The second team hits the target like this. And, well, it all looks a little moved away. So when you look at the targets, when you look at the hits, at the single hits, the pattern is pretty much the same as the first team did, but it's somehow biased, so something's moved. So what's the typical reflex of an organization in that situation? A typical reflex would be looking at the equipment, looking at the crossbow. Maybe it's not straight. Maybe the telescope is wrongly adjusted. Whatever. You might look at the equipment used, and you might think that that this result was caused by the equipment. Okay, now let's look at the third team. How do they perform? The third team shoots at the target and it looks like this. It's completely noisy. What's the reflex of the organization? Quite easy. Let's look at the skill set of the people. Are they trained shooters? Have they done crossbow shooting before? Can we provide some more training? Can we ramp up their skill sets? Whatever. Can we do something with the people? So bias is often, well, associated with equipment, with methodology. Noise is often associated with people. Why is that important? Okay, before we think why it's important, we have a fourth team. Let's look at them. How do they perform? Yeah, of course. They create noisy and biased results. So from the perspective of the organization, that's people who don't know how to shoot the crossbow use a broken crossbow to shoot at the target, and this is the result they gain. So why is that important? Because when we think of classical KPI in the context of business administration, the number of hits in the middle of the target, in the bullseye, this is what we call effectivity. So the more hits we get in the middle of the target, the more effective our organization is. The difference, the variability between the hits and the target is what we call efficiency. So the closer the hits are together, the more efficient our organization seems to be. And the third one is quite clear, the bullseye itself. This is the strategy. It's the strategic goals that might be set. It's the strategic goals we are about to gain. Okay. So why is it of interest to think of effectivity and efficiency, noise and bias, and its relationship to methodology and tools and people and skills? It's interesting because when we look at the way how many organizations measure their strategy or look at their strategy fulfillment, there's a strong correlation between success or not success in the market and the way how to execute strategy. So strategy in many organizations is looked at in retrospect. What does that mean? Well, at the beginning of the year, a strategy is announced and the people keep on working, and by the end of the year there's a document going around, maybe, I don't know, strategy_fulfillment.pptx, something like that. And then every person in the organization has to align his or her work done in the past year with the strategy. And yeah, this is how strategy fulfillment is being measured. Where's the problem with that? I doubt that there's one person in an organization saying something like, oh, all my work was completely irrelevant in terms of strategy. I've done nothing important. I've done nothing strategical in the past 12 months. Nobody says that. So what they do is they adjust their work and map their work with the strategic goals announced 12 months ago. And everything reported in this document will be strategically relevant work. So everybody and everyone was working on things to fulfill the strategy. And this is what I call strategy in retrospect, because this is like looking at the pattern that the team has shot, and after having seen the pattern, drawing the target around it. So we derive strategy from the actions being done in the organization. And this is fatal, because when I do that, I do not have the chance to notice bias. So I do not have the chance to really look at my effectivity. The bullseye is as big as I need it. And there's no reason to look for the noise. There's no reason to look for the efficiency. I mean, all the dots are in the middle of the target. Who should be interested in knowing why they are there, or in how far it's pure random that they are on the red side and not on the other side of the white circle? It's purely random. So strategy in retrospect is what I call predicting the past. Predicting the past means looking at an event that has already happened and explain how it came to this. What's the path to go there? We can see this in this picture quite easily. So you have this blue ball down there, and all you have to do is you have to explain what happened before to get the blue ball exactly to this spot where it lies now. And yeah, there are some explanations, and of course we can tell the story. Of course we can identify the path which led the ball to where it lies now. And of course it looks like there was no alternative. This is the way how we explain political events in the last century and in this century, economic events. This is how we do, how we try to explain events on stock markets. But it's all in retrospect, because we know the result, and from that we think about paths leading to the result. That does not help when we try to explain the future. And there's a statistics which forces this way of predicting the past. It's a statistics which is taught in business administration courses. I give you one example. There are many others. If you read the book, you will find more about that. Just one quick, simple example. It's called the LAPLACE experiment. It's about this. If you don't know the probabilities of events occurring, you simply assume that they are all equally probable. Yeah, that's so simple. And the formula goes like this. So the expected value is the number of desired results in ratio to number of possible results. That sounds a little theoretical. Now let's take a simple, very simple example. The example is called the turkey illusion. So think of a turkey sitting wherever turkeys sit and doing whatever turkeys do, and then a human being comes along. And the turkey is rather nervous. He doesn't know what's going on, what kind of thing is that, what does he or she want from me. Now this thing, the human being, comes to the turkey and provides some food. And the turkey likes that. Now, as this is a very intelligent turkey, the turkey thinks about how likely is it that the same thing will happen by tomorrow again. And to calculate this, he uses the Laplace experiment. And it goes like this. On day 1, the probability that the human comes back the next day is 2/3. That's not too good. You should not be too confident. So you wait for the next day. And again, the human being comes, provides some food, and now the probability for this event to be repeated is 3/4, which is not too good still, but it's getting better. And day in, day out, the turkey calculates the probabilities of the human being returning and preparing some food. And on day 50, well, the odds are 98% that tomorrow the human being comes again and provides some food, which is not too bad. And on day 99, the odds are 99%, which is, well, near to perfect. And then something strange happens on day 100. On day 100, the turkey, well, gets introduced to the concept of Thanksgiving. Tja, the turkey never had a chance to foresee Thanksgiving. The reason is, when you predict the past, you assume and imagine that the future is nothing but a linear progression of the past, and it is not. So the future is not simply repeating the past maybe in a different order. The future is completely different. The future is always a decision. So in this simple case, the blue ball, it can go left or right on this red ball 1. And when it goes left, it comes to the red ball 3, and if it goes right, it comes to the red ball 2. And there again, it can draw the decision, is it left or right? And, well, and so on. And what you see here is there's a whole tree of probabilities coming up. So the number of possibilities is getting more and more. And this exactly is the problem with the future. So the future is never without alternatives. Politicians or whoever saying that there's a decision to be drawn which is without alternative is predicting the past, because only predicting the past means being free of alternatives. When you look at the future, when you look into the state where the result is not known, you have many alternatives. And this exactly is the reason why it is so hard to predict the future, because there are so many alternatives. Now, what does it make with an organization when they predict the past, when they do strategy work in retrospect? What happens to these organizations? Well, in many cases, they notice that, well, their time to market is increasing. So it takes longer and longer to finish products and to provide new services. Furthermore, these organizations often notice that they are not, well, very innovative anymore. So they are no longer innovation drivers. They do not create new stuff. Their loyal customers are moving to the competitors, moving to other companies. And the other companies, the competitors, producing the same stuff as we do at a lower price. This is a typical indicator for a company predicting the past. Why is that? Because an organization which predicts the past, an organization which does strategy work in retrospect, derives its strategical goals from its actions. You do the actions and then you map it with a strategy. That means you align the strategy with what you have done and not the other way around. So your strategy is derived from what has been done, from what you are doing. So you are the source of your strategy, not the market, not the customer, whoever. It's what you do. Furthermore, the bias, so the effectivity, are we doing the right things, is getting lost in this kind of in this kind of examination of the organization. Because everything is in the bullseye. We do not see the bias. And not seeing the bias means we do not notice that we are creating things our customers are not looking for. And noise is not even, as we said before, is not even examined in this way of looking at our organization. So we don't know how the skill sets of our people are. We don't know how efficient we are. Deriving our goals from our actions means focusing on ourselves. We are focusing only on us. And them, the market, the customer, any other stakeholders are moving further and further away from our field of notice. They are not within our sensors. We do not notice what they need, and we will not be able to deliver the right stuff the market is looking for. And this can be a big problem. Let me provide you a simple example. Let's think of an organization which is in the rolling the dice business. So I don't know what the business case is behind it. I don't know what the money is being made with. Doesn't matter. Let's imagine they're rolling 3 dice, and they have business analysts, and they draw this picture of natural occurrences, what numbers can be drawn. And you see it's 216 combinations which can be rolled with 3 dice. And there's 27 times the chance to roll a 10, there's 27 times the chance to roll 11, there's 25 times the chance to roll a 9 or a 12, but only 1 chance to roll a 3, 1, 1, 1, and only 1 chance to roll 18, 6, 6, 6. Yeah? Well, this is how this distribution is being made. And now we're drawing in a circle at 1 sigma. So we don't want to look at the maths here as well, and we don't want to look at the stats here as well. But if you want to know more about that, you can read that in the book. I explain it there in more detail. So this 1 sigma, this 1 standard deviation, this is what we call our normal business. This is what we expect when we do our normal rolling the dice business. That means we are expecting values between 8 and 13. This is what we normally do. And when we look at the market, we see that our competitors are pretty much doing the same. Yeah? Until one day. And this one day we find out that there is one competitor performing completely differently. So we find out that our competitor's normal business is not rolling numbers between 8 and 13, but numbers between 11 and 16. So in average, they have higher values, they have higher numbers. What is it? Why are they performing better than us? And what can we do to increase our performance? We keep on improving in detail and making the whole system better wherever possible. But we will never be able, no matter how much money, how much effort, how much time we spend on improving the rolling the dice methodologies, we will never be able to reach the results our competitors reaching. We don't see what our competitors has seen and what they are doing, because we are steampunks. We are not able to look at the future. We only able to look at the past, because what our competitor is seeing here, it's a normal distribution as well. And the blue oval here is also 1 sigma. It's 1 standard deviation. What the competitor did was he changed the rules of the game. So we are rolling 6-sided dice. This competitor is rolling a 7-sided dice. He is able to roll 343 combinations instead of 216, like we do. And that means furthermore that it's not 18 the highest number he can roll. He can also roll 19, 20 and 21. And no matter what we do with our system, no matter how hard we train, no matter how hard we try, no matter how much money we spend, we will never be able to roll a 19, a 20 or a 21. And therefore, from the systemic view, we will never be able to reach the same performance that our competitor is reaching, because our organization itself is not able to perform like this. And therefore our organization is a steampunk economy, it's a steampunk organization. Why am I saying that? Because I say business administration, as taught in universities and schools today, is the steam engine. This is steampunk technology. This is knowledge created in the 19th century, at the time where it might have been okay for the way that economy was driven. But you cannot use these ideas and concepts in today's economy. And I will give you an example for that. I like this one pretty much. It's called CETERIS PARIBUS. CETERIS PARIBUS is a concept you find in any economic course. So if you do business administration, whatever, you will always be taught about this concept. Ceteris paribus is Latin, and it means something like under unchanged or otherwise identical conditions. When you look at, I don't know, something very complex and try to explain it or try to understand it, under ceteris paribus conditions, you simply ignore everything you're not interested in. So you focus only on this one variable you want to learn about. This is a cool concept at university. So if you want to teach students how some mechanisms work and how things are connected, it's very good because you can isolate the factors. It's good for university. But when you try to explain reality with this, you simply ignore the rest of the universe, and this is absurd. I will give you an example. So a real complex system might look like this. This is a real complex system. You have many spaghetti, and they're all connected to each other and they're interrelated with each other. We don't know. We cannot understand what this complex system looks like and what it works like by simply looking at it. We cannot predict what's going to happen in the system by only, observing it. Imagine you pull noodle A. You might see a reaction on noodle C or a reaction on noodle D, whatever. So when I pull noodle A again, something completely different might happen. We cannot learn about the system by looking at it. Now, ceteris paribus now means I want to learn about noodle A, so I ignore all the other noodles so that only noodle A lies on my plate. It's absurd. You cannot learn about the system by using this concept. It really doesn't help. So this is a steampunk concept we cannot use and we should not use to explain the environment, to explain the reality we are living in, because our perception is not reality. And another thing which confuses us always is, in terms of perception is not reality, is exponential growth. I chose Moore's law as an explanation here. So Moore's law says basically that the complexity of integrated circuits with minimal component costs is doubling every 24 to 18 months. 18 months was right, turned out to be later. So it's a function of doubling, and this is an exponential function. It's something our human brains are not made for. We cannot imagine what that means, doubling. We cannot imagine what that means to our lives, and we cannot imagine what that means to technology development, whatever. The simple example you might know about exponential growth, you remember the story, there are versions of the story, it doesn't matter. The Maharaja is asking the wise man to explain him how to play chess, and the wise man explains to the Maharaja, and then the Maharaja says, okay, what do you want me to pay you? And he said, the wise man says, I don't want too much, just put 1 rice corn on the first field of the chessboard, 2 rice corns on the second field of the chessboard, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth, and so on. And when the chessboard is full, I'll be more than happy. And the Maharaja thinks to himself, hey, that was cheap. Until he noticed that he's bankrupt. Why is he bankrupt? What do you think? How much rice will be on the chessboard when you do it, doubling per field? Let's assume one rice kernel weighs 0.3 gram. Okay. How much rice will be on the board? 100 kilos? Would be a lot. The truth is, on the last field of the chessboard lay 277 billion tons of rice. And this is only the last field. So the number of all rice, so I don't know the number because it's a very long number, but I can tell you the weight of the total of rice on the chessboard. So the total weight of the rice on the chessboard is 550 billion tons of rice. The total amount of rice reaped in 2018-2019 was about 490 million tons of rice. 540 billion tons of rice is more than 1,000 times of the yearly rice harvest in 2018-2019. That's why the Maharaja is bankrupt. Now let's take a look at this exponential curve. And as an example, let's look at Moore's law, because in the beginning it looks quite linear. So what do we have here? In 1972 there were, 8,000 transistors in this integrated circuit. That's a pocket calculator, maybe. In 1984 we have 160,000 transistors in an integrated circuit. This is the time when home computers came up, the Commodore 64 or Amstrad CPC, whatever, these computers, which reached our homes. And the first playing consoles, the fantastic Atari 2600, whatever. In 1994, it's already 3 million transistors in integrated circuits. In 2014, e-commerce is a factor, is a real factor. Now the amount of money in digital commerce is higher than the amount of money in traditional commerce. Now, if we try to predict what's going to happen with our linear thinking, we would draw a line like this, saying, okay, we land somewhere, I don't know, a little higher. And then, okay, but we see the last part of it's a little more steep, so we draw another curve like this. So this linear prediction would tell us that by the year 2026, so in 5 years from now, the amount of transistors in our integrated circuits is doubling. So what does it mean to artificial intelligence, to digital medicine, to pharmacy, to digital markets, to platform technologies, to autonomous driving cars, to the space industry, whatever? What does it mean if the number of transistors in our circuits is doubling? We don't know. Yeah? We are on the edge of something breaking, on something that's coming up new. Furthermore, this is absolutely wrong. This picture is wrong because this linear progression is wrong. It doesn't work like this. It's an exponential progression, and that looks like this. I mean, it's really going up. It's not doubling the number of circuits in the next 5 years. It's more 12 times this number of integrated circuits in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, from the technology perspective, more will be happening than in the past 30 years. We can see it on this graph. This is what we have to expect, and this is what we have to think about. I know this is very abstract, and it's hard to understand because we don't know the technology. There's nothing to compare it to. I would like to try a comparison. Now let's assume that the automobile industry had developed according to the same rules over the same period of time as computers did. What would that mean to the automobile industry? What would that mean in terms of price? What would that mean in terms of efficiency? What would that mean in terms of power? And what would that mean in terms of size? Let's begin with the price. So this car, a Rolls-Royce, would be, if the automobile industry had developed according to the same rules as over the same period of time as the computer technology, industry, this car would cost €4.20, roundabout. Let's say €5. Okay, €5 and you get your Rolls-Royce. What about the efficiency? Well, this car would drive 100 kilometers with 1.5 microliters. That means 660 kilometers with 1 milliliter. 660 kilometers with 1 milliliter of petrol. And this car had enough power to drive Queen Elizabeth II, and I mean the ship, not the woman. It had 180,000 horsepower, so it's very, very powerful. €4.20, 1 milliliter to go, 660 kilometers at 180,000 HP. And what about the size? Well, yeah, it would be small. I don't know what it means to have such a small car, but it's interesting because in terms of size, 6 of them would find place on a pinhead. What would that mean to our lives if automobile industry had developed like the computer industry? We have no idea. We don't know. But we are standing on the edge to something that is fundamentally changing all our lives, all our societies, and all the ways we live and how we organize our lives. What does that mean to organizations? All our linearity and all our linear thinking does not help to do proper planning, to do good predictions. If we do the linear planning, as we can see here on the line drawn here, we do not notice the exponential development because in the beginning it looks linear as well, and it's much lower in value than what we create. And at the time, in the time when we do not notice the new development, nothing happens to our business. We are still hitting our target. We are always hitting the bullseye. As soon as the curve is going up a little bit, the market is starting to react to something. We might notice a little bias. We might notice that our effectivity is shifting a little bit compared to our older performance. Well, nothing to worry about. At some point in time, the new development, the exponential development, reaches the same performance level as the traditional way of doing it did. Latest then, you will not only notice bias, you will also notice noise. Because now you start, you start to create a higher deviation. You do not meet market requirements any further. There's a new business model coming up and it's breaking through our market. This is what we call disruption. Well, the new way of working is going up. If we stick to the linearity and we go on like we did before, we will notice that bias is growing and noise is growing until we do not even meet our target at all. And that means we have to leave the marketplace. As Deming said, it's not necessary to change because survival is not mandatory. Capacity to act. So if we are an organization like here, a perfect fine-tuned machine, we are serving our purpose perfectly well as long as the purpose does not change. If the purpose changes, an organization organized like this has a problem because this kind of machine cannot change, it cannot adapt. So you cannot change the organization. You have to stop it and you have to rebuild it from scratch if you want to use these parts to build a new organization. And this new organization then only serves one purpose again. So we need to get rid of this way of thinking of organization. We need to move from organization to organism. So what we need is an intelligent network. What we need is something like a nervous system where experts decide within their expertise where the expertise is required. We don't need a central brain doing all the thinking. We need experts to draw decisions in the places where the expertise lies and where the decision needs to be made. We need an intelligent network where everyone working in the organization knows exactly what to do, what he or she is responsible for, and where he or she is committed to deliver what he or she is responsible for. We don't need much hierarchy. We need function. We need someone telling us what the strategy is. We need someone telling us what is important now in terms of portfolio management. And we need people who know how to realize and to operationalize what's being defined and being prioritized in the portfolio management. If you want to know about more, how to build up such an organization, how to create these networked organizations, read the book or visit my workshops. I like talking about it. So if you're interested in reshaping your organization and making your organization fit for the new way of working and, well, overcoming steampunk economy, then give me a call. But first of all, read the book. Let me know your thoughts. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you would like to talk about. And thank you for your participation until here. And I'm very curious to hear your opinion. See you soon. Thank you very much.